This is Anthony Mwerore, and I'm the host for today's show. And today we have a guest who is none other than Mary. She's going to tell us the other name, which seems a bit difficult for me to pronounce, not to make a mistake. But I believe that we are going to have a very great time with Mary here, since she's written a beautiful book, but I'm not going to talk about it. She's going to tell us about it. So, Mary, thank you very much and welcome to our show.
Thank you, Anthony, for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah.
And yes, my name is Mary K. Savarese. And I am an author and speaker.
Okay.
And I am the author of a mystery romance with a supernatural twist titled, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume. Who knew?
Do they love bubble baths?
They really do love bubble baths. Okay. And that was very much the inspiration for me to write this mystery romance with the spiritual twist.
Okay, wonderful. Now, please tell us where you come from, because some could be just around your corner and you could sign them a copy and hand them.
That would be wonderful. I am a resident of the United States. I live in Florida.
Wonderful. And just as we are about to begin, I think that's the book that is, can we have a close look at it? I think I see a book at the back, or is it?
It behind me.
Okay.
Here it is also.
Yeah. So tigers love bubble pads and
Obsession Perfume.
So that's the book.
Who knew?
Yeah.
They love Obsession Perfume as well. And the reason they love it is that it has pheromones in it and it tends to calm them down. So tigers love Obsession Perfume.
Oh, yeah, we're going to find out more. But even before we find out more about the book, let's know a bit more about the author. And by this, I mean, how did you come into writing? Before you were a writer, what were you doing? I mean, yeah, let us know.
Wonderful question. As many of us find ourselves wanting to write, we usually come from various careers. For me, it was finance. And I always had this dream of writing. Well, having a dream and writing, as you know, you need to actually sit down and put it to words. And that does take a while. Now, once I accomplished writing my first manuscript, then the next goal was to have it traditionally published. Well, Anthony, that took me 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. I did not give up. One rejection after another. I built a thin skin and I just kept working on it. And the reason I kept working on it, it was a passion of mine. I loved writing so much that whether I was going to be published or not, I had all stories in my head and I wanted to get them on paper. So Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume was my fourth manuscript. And after 10 years, I was traditionally published. And I am so happy to say this summer, the first of my trilogy will also be traditionally published. And I love to work with quirky titles. And that title is The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. That's a whole other story for you. So.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And you talk of passion.
Yes.
Since you talk of passion, can I ask you, what was the passion of writing? I mean, what drove you into writing in the first place? Coming from finance and now ending up being a writer, how did that happen?
Well, I'm also a mother. And with 3 children, I saw what was out there with young adult and with mysteries. And I said, you know what? I have all these wonderful ideas that I
Yeah.
wanted to approach.
Mm-hmm.
And once I began, it gave me such joy that I just stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, as an author, writer, we tend to keep a notebook,
Yeah.
however which way it works best for us. And I was constantly writing quirky titles and having ideas. And I
Okay.
just went one after the other until I was finally published.
Okay. Now, you talk about this being your first published book,
Yes, tigers.
and
Yes,
it took 10 years to publish.
yes.
But if I had right, you have some other four books. One, I mean, or it's the trilogy that makes this the fourth book.
Well, the Tigers Love Bubble Bats was my fourth manuscript, and that was the first book published.
Okay.
Now, this summer, I am with a new publishing house,
Yeah.
Indignor Publishing, and they are publishing my trilogy, which is a fantasy adventure.
Okay.
And it is a trilogy. So the first book, The Girl in the Twa Wallpaper, will be published this summer. And I'm on Amazon. I am everywhere.
Wow. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And you must be a very patient person to wait for 10 years to publish a book. And I know it takes patience to write a book, write a manuscript and make it into a book. It takes time, it takes patience, some sacrifices. I believe that this is a worthy job that you've done here. So, if I may ask,
Yes.
uh, you started writing when you're already a mother, if I got
Yes.
that right. And so that means that anybody can start writing at any time. I thought that
Any
I thought that writers were
time.
born.
No, I think writers, we all have dreams. And
Yes.
for me, I always had a dream as a young adult to
Mhm.
write, but other things happened in life.
Mhm.
And my dream of writing went on the back burner.
Okay.
And it was finally in my middle age that I said, wow, you know what? It's time. I've got to get these ideas down. And as everybody knows, if you have a passion and a dream, never give up on yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a perfect example. I
Mhm.
can tell you, if this is the love that you have, stick with it
Yeah.
and it'll happen. I can almost guarantee it because you have such a passion for it that you won't give up on yourself, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, sure. We shouldn't give up on our dreams. And on the part of not giving up, I'm seeing a trend that is happening recently. And I ask this question: when was the book published?
The book was published 2 years ago. Tigers Love Bubble Bats and Obsession Perfume was published by Kohler
Okay.
Books 2 years ago. I just celebrated my anniversary.
Wow, that's wonderful. And that was not exactly the question I was driving at when I
Oh,
said about a trend happening. Yeah, that's the question I asked, but it was the question that I was driving at is the trend that is happening, that you don't have to wait for 10 years, you can self-publish. Why didn't you go
yes.
that way?
Um, it was a bit foreign to me.
Okay.
10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
self-publishing, even 5 years ago, Anthony,
Yeah.
self-publishing is not what it is today.
Okay.
Today, you have an idea, and it does take a long time to possibly get a literary agent, to get a publisher.
Yeah.
So by all means, I would investigate if that is the way you want to proceed. But yes, self-publishing has absolutely come a long way
Yeah.
from where it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the options that are available today may not have been available some 10 years back. And so you had to go just the way everyone else was going at that time. So we get that. And the other question that I would want to know, what is exactly this story about tigers loving birds?
Okay, I would love to share that with your audience.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I was inspired
Mm-hmm.
and I visited a wildlife preserve in St. Augustine, Florida, the United States, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this incredible 600-pound Siberian tiger walked across the plank, looked as he was taking off a robe, and slipped into a bath of bubbles.
Okay.
And the wildlife handler sprayed Obsession perfume on this beautiful tiger's tongue, and he lapped it up. And
Okay.
I said to myself, that is the title of my next book.
Yeah.
And I wrote a murder mystery around that. It became very much because these tigers and other big cats in this wildlife reserve were tossed away.
Mm-hmm.
They were from circuses, they were from TV shows, so they had an opportunity to start over. And
Yeah.
my protagonist is starting over, but you know what?
Okay.
Starting over can be murder. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Angie Pantera has to deal with. And it is a mystery romance with supernatural twists thrown in that'll just carry you and carry you from the edge of your seat.
Oh, that's interesting. So the title of the book has a I mean, it's someone that is representing that title. Is not actually talking about tigers themselves, but you've drawn a lesson from the tigers and
Well,
given a
I
life.
weaved
Yeah.
I weaved a story
Yeah.
around that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is actually, because my publisher asked me the same question, please, Mary, tell
Yeah.
me, is there a tiger? Yes, there is the tiger in a bubble bats and the Obsession perfume weaved into the story. Yes.
Oh,
And the title is very much a metaphor for
okay.
starting over,
Ah, good to know that.
because yeah,
Mm.
because this tiger and other big cats in this wildlife reserve were tossed aside, and so was my protagonist. As a middle-aged woman, she was tossed aside by her husband of 25 years on their 25th wedding anniversary, and
Mm-hmm.
she has to start over. And
Okay.
then she has to deal with one murder after another.
She being the murderer?
She's the protagonist, yes, Angie,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, it's good to know that. So, who is the book aimed at? I mean, who is the perfect reader for this book?
I would say men and women ages 25 and up
Yeah.
to over 100. It can be for anybody, yes.
Yeah, because there's no limit to when someone can experience some romance.
Yes.
Oh,
And some mystery
and
and
yeah,
murders
and murders.
and supernatural twists.
So, what are the supernatural twists?
Well, the protagonist, Angie, experiences a group of new people she works with,
Mm-hmm.
and these supernatural twists take place around them.
Okay.
So the reader gets to see this. Although my protagonist experiences, she thinks it's murder,
Yeah.
there are other things that are happening. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So, we have one viewer who is known as Jonas Soul, and is saying this book sounds amazing. And the question which he's asking is, when will it be available? I think it's already available,
It's
isn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is available.
Mhm.
You can go to Amazon and you'll be able, if you plug in Tigers Love Bubble Bats and
Yeah.
Obsession Perfume, who knew, it's there.
Yeah.
Please also visit my author website, which is www.savarese, Mary, middle initial K, Savarese, SAVARESE.com. And my author website gives you information about the book. It'll lead you to Amazon and to other places as well, because it's sold through Barnes and Nobles, it's sold through independent bookstores. So it's out there.
Well, wonderful. And we are going to share that link with the
Thank you.
viewers. Yes, your website is going to be shared on the video. And yeah, Jonas Soul says, I'm on my way. Thank you. So he's on his way to
Oh,
buy the book.
thank you. A kiss to him. And also,
Yeah.
if there are any book clubs that are out there nowadays between Zoom and Skype, I am happy to join as an author. If you have a book group, and you can connect with me through my author website.
Okay, that
Yes.
that message got to the viewer right here, and yes, they are going to connect with you. And in the message that we started to exchange when we got to find each other, you were talking about the importance of finding yourself. Can you tell us more
Yes.
about that?
Yes. As I found myself becoming an empty nester, which means my children have grown, they've left the nest.
Yeah.
I found myself also very anxious and depressed over the situation.
Okay.
And what saved me was my writing.
Oh.
Because it gave me such joy. So within your audience, if you find that you're having difficulties in life and you're able to expand your vision and have a hobby, doesn't have to be a hobby necessarily that will become a career for you, but something you enjoy and love. It'll bring you tremendous joy, and it'll help you through life if you're dealing with anxiety and depression.
And I think that's a very important message, especially these days when we are dealing with a worldwide catastrophe. This pandemic is making people go crazy. I mean,
it is. And
so many things are
everybody,
happening around them. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody has hobbies that
Yeah.
brings them joy. So,
Yes, and you can always find a hobby.
yes.
It could be writing, like Mary has found writing, and it turns out that this writing has now, or it's on its way to become a full-time career, if I'm right.
Yes.
And I wish you that it becomes a lifetime career, and many people can learn from that. Now, which other hobbies, you talk of hobbies in general, which other hobbies would you suggest the viewers to engage in?
One hobby that I do engage in and I love very much is volunteering.
Okay.
And I also, I am a Eucharistic minister. So because of that, what a Eucharistic minister is they assist a priest in handing communion, but I also visit nursing homes.
Okay.
Within my area, and I meet with the residents, and I also bring them Holy Communion. So that's a wonderful hobby that with itself brings a lot of joy as well. But there's so many hobbies out there people can deal with. You have gardening. I mean, it's endless. It's just absolutely endless.
Yeah, and yes, so someone doesn't have to sit at home lonely, depressed during these times. You can find something to do.
Yes.
And before you find something to do, please make sure that you read Mary's book and
Thank you.
understand it much more better. Which other hobbies, apart from that, being a Eucharistic minister and writing, do you have any other hobby?
Well, I guess you could.
Oh, you haven't. Think we have an issue with the network. Something must have happened to the network. Sorry for that.
I can still hear you though.
And now we hear you. Now I hear
We're
you.
back.
Yeah, we are back.
It happens.
Yeah, it does. And this is where we call for persistence, going on despite the
Yes.
challenges. Like you went on and published a book even when you were facing rejections. So it doesn't have to be to stop us. So you are talking about other hobbies that you may be having yourself.
Well, I mean, I think that if we spread ourselves out too thin,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't really learn to enjoy something
Okay.
that can give you the pleasure. So I would say, you know what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to know that is you can't wait to do it. You can't wait to get up in the morning and like work toward that. So that truly is an enjoyment. And I also have a full-time job. I mean, even though my children have left the nest, I am
Okay.
still a mother to them. So I am very much a part of their lives and their hobbies and their careers.
Yeah, once a mother, always a mother.
Always a mother, right?
That's beautiful. So it's very great having you on our show, and we appreciate that feedback. But before we go, maybe there's something that you'd like to tell the viewer, something more that you'd like to add on what we've shared today.
Anthony, it's been a pleasure having me, hosting me. This has been wonderful. And I would just love to tell your audience, never give up on yourself. Whatever dreams you may have, go forward with them. And I can guarantee you, if you have the joy and the passion, it will happen for you. And to please, buy my book, Tigers Love Bubble Baths and Obsession Perfume, Mary Kay Savarese, and look for me. Visit my website, www.maryksavarese.com. And as I said, I have a new trilogy coming out this summer, The Girl in the Toile Wallpaper. And your audience may ask, what is toile? They'll know exactly what toile is.
Yes.
Right? And it's a fantasy adventure for everybody.
Mm-hmm. So it's fantasy adventure.
Yes, that'll be published this summer.
They'll be finding out soon. And we may not have to empty everything to them right now so that they can get a chance to follow you on your website and every area that you are, so that they get to know much more about the book and the ones coming and about any hobby. Maybe they will ask you for guidance on how to start another hobby. And and that will be good. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And thank you very much, the viewers, for being with us. I am looking forward to seeing you. Subscribe to our channel, follow our website, and yeah, cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.